Sure, because it doesn't go anywhere else. It's got to go somewhere. And the only place it can go is back to O in this case. All right. So most of you got that right, but not all of you. Now let's try question 1B. If you misspelled reversion, that's fine. I accept different spellings. That's not a problem. But if you're at remainder, remainder is not a misspelling of reversion. Those are quite different words. It's like on Jeopardy. You know, when you have to write your answer for Final Jeopardy, if you change your pronunciation, the word Alex, well, not was Alex, but you'd be marked wrong. So that's I use a Jeopardy rule. Question 1B. From O to A for life, then to B and his heirs. What interest does B have? All right, another 5 seconds. Okay. The answer here is remainder in fee simple, which I think just about all of you got this one right. Very good. You know it's remainder in fee simple because it's a future interest that follows a life estate and that goes to a third party, right? You just need to know that this is going to be a remainder in fee simple. You have to memorize these rules, unfortunately. All right, any questions so far? All right, let's try the next one. All right. Question 1C. All right, this is just all review. From O to A for life, then to B for life. This is all from last class. There's new here I'm giving you. Another 5 seconds. All right, I'm going to stop it here. Okay. The answer here is reversion in fee simple, which most of you got right, but not all of you. Okay. Why is it a reversion? Look at this step by step. From O to A for life. A starts off with a life estate. Then what about B, comma, then to B for life. What do you call a future interest after life estate that goes to some third party? It's remainder. But O does not have a remainder in fee simple. I'm sorry, B does not have a remainder in fee simple. B's remainder is in life estate. Something's got to happen when B dies. The interest has to go somewhere. It can't just float around in the air. So we say it goes back to O. And O is reversion in fee simple. Okay. By the way, someone put reversion in life estate. That's not correct. A reversion, and just trust me on this one. I emailed the casebook editor because I want to double check. A reversion is going to almost always be in fee simple. It would not make sense to have reversion in life estate. The idea is after everyone else is dead, it comes back to you or your family. So it's reversion in fee simple. Okay. Right. I mean, those should have been 100% top to bottom. I don't know why people got those wrong. These are straight from your notes. We asked these same questions last week. You know, I found that sometimes I've had office hours where people didn't have in their notes what we covered in class. I can't help you if your own notes are incomplete. I record the class. I transcribe the class. My goodness, there's every way to have accurate notes. And if you're getting these questions wrong, it's going to be a rough midterm. I have no other way to put it. All right. All right, those are the class notes from last week. I want to jump now to the class notes for today, which I just put the link in to the chat. We're going to start a chart today. Students love charts. Law students love charts. They think that charts will help them make sense of things. I like charts too. Graphs and flow charts are helpful. But what I'm going to be telling you, you're not going to like. This chart will help you for a little bit. Maybe it'll help you today. It'll probably help you on Friday. But by the time we get to Monday, this chart's going to fall apart. What do I mean by that? This topic is messy, and it doesn't reduce itself to very simple columns where everything just sort of lines up neatly. So it's going to work for today. I'm telling you, you're going to, oh, Josh, thank you so much. This table's awesome, right? But just trust me on this one. Come next week, you're going to be, oh God, this is useless. But it's like a crutch. It'll help you at least get yourself started. Okay? So I want to just walk you through the structure of this chart first. Okay? There are 4 columns, right? There's estate. Well, let me screen share so we all look at the same thing. There's 4 columns. There's the estate. There's the duration. That's how long the interest lasts for. There's a future interest. What this is telling you is that every present interest is matched to one or more future interests. So if I tell you what the present estate is, you need to tell me what the future interest is. And the final column is what I call the magic words, right? These are the words that you need to memorize. Because when you see these words, it signifies a certain types of estates being given. So I'm going to lecture for a bit, at least the first time, because I think it'll be easier to fill in this table this way. All right. The first row is the fee simple, right? This is the most basic estate we have. What is the duration of a fee simple? We say it lasts forever. Now, it doesn't actually mean forever because no one lives forever, right? We all die. We are all mortal. But what it means is you can control the duration of the estate now and into the future, right? And again, it doesn't literally mean forever, right? Eventually something happens that you can't control the property more, but we just say it lasts indefinitely. Okay. Okay. What is the future interest that is matched with a fee simple? We usually say to A's heirs, right? That doesn't literally mean it goes to A's heirs, but you can give it to your heirs, which is a very important power. There's no remainder after a fee simple. There's no reversion after a fee simple. That's not a thing. Okay. And what are the magic words to A and his heirs? Right? If you see to A and his heirs, you know they have a fee simple. All right, everyone with me? Okay. Next, we do life estate. What is the duration of a life estate? Well, duh. It's the life of A, right? Or maybe the life of B, whoever it happens to be. Okay. What are the future interests that correspond to life estate? We have 2. We have the remainder. We have the reversion. You can see how this table gets messy already, right? you can have a single present life estate, a single present estate that corresponds with two future interests. Okay? What are the words if I want to convey a life estate followed by remainder? I would say to A for life, then to B, not B, but B and his heirs, right? A for life, then to B and his heirs. If I write that, it tells you have a remainder. And to be precise, you have a remainder in fee simple, right? Those are the words needed to convey a remainder in fee simple. What about a reversion? I would write to A for life. Now again, the reversion says nothing about what happens after the life estate. We just presume that when someone gives a life estate and nothing else, they keep the future interest for themselves. So here we have a reversion in fee simple. Who gets the future interest? O and his heirs. In this case, who has the remainder? B and his heirs. Okay. Everyone with me so far? Okay. There are 3 more rows on this chart, which I am not going to fill in right now. The last row, the fee simple subject to the executory limitation, I will probably not fill until Friday or maybe Monday. I'm not sure when I'll get to it yet. So in your notes, I just want you to have that row there. But I'm not going to fill it in today, maybe Friday or Monday, depending on how we do. The third one's the hardest one of the 3. So that's why I'm putting it off till later. Today, we will cover these 2 rows, the fee simple determinable and the fee simple subject to condition subsequent. All right. These are mouthfuls. Okay. These are mouthfuls and they're hard to say. My first piece of advice for you, which I hope you take sincerely, is don't abbreviate. Say in your notes and write out every time fee simple determinable and fee simple subject to condition subsequent. You are going to be tempted to write FSD, FSSC, FSSCCS. Don't do it. You're going to give yourself so much difficulty because you're confused them. You won't remember which is which. So unfortunately, for your notes for class for today, I want you to actually spell it out. Fee simple determinable and fee simple subject condition subsequent. Okay? There's no shortcut, unfortunately. You're just going to have to spell it out. Okay? Everyone with me? All right. Let me turn off the screen share for now. I'll bring it back on later. All right. So the topic today, the sort of umbrella topic for today, is what's called a fee simple defeasible or defeasible estate. Oh, by the way, there's a brief discussion on leaseholds. Don't worry about leaseholds for now. We'll come back to leaseholds later this semester. I wish it was even in this chapter. It doesn't belong there. Just don't worry about leaseholds now. But the broader topic we have today are called defeasible estates. Defeasible, right? Let me spell that for you. D-E-F-E-S-I-B-L-E, defeasible. Do not confuse defeasible with determinable. They're not the same thing. They have a very similar meaning, but don't confuse them. Defeasible. What does defeasible mean? Defeasible refers to an estate that may terminate unnaturally. What do you mean terminate unnaturally? So far, we've done the life estate. And the life estate terminates naturally. What does that mean, Josh? When a person dies, that's a natural death. Even if they're murdered, we still say it's a natural death because everyone dies, right? There's a set point in time when we all die. It will happen sooner, hopefully later. But a defeasible estate will terminate before death, right? A defeasible estate will terminate based on some condition happening that's not death, right? If I give you an estate so long as you're alive, that's just a life estate, right? If I go from O to A so long as he's living, that's just a life estate no matter what you call it. But if you put an actual condition other than death, we have a defeasible estate, right? A defeasible estate allows you to convey property with strings attached. So you're giving someone a piece of land, and they get to keep it with certain conditions. They have to keep doing something, or they have to not do something. And if they do the wrong thing, they may end up actually losing the property. Yes, Tyler, go ahead.
So the specific words can sort of set off alerts.
I'll get to those words later. I'm not there yet. I promise.
Well, it was about what you just said. My question. It's that if they phrase it like a fee simple determinable.
I'm not there. Trust me, I'm not there. I wasn't framing that specifically. Just bear with me. I promise. I don't want to get to the words yet. The idea is if you do or don't do something, and I'm deliberately not saying condition, not saying duration, you may lose your property. Okay? You may lose the property. All right? Everyone with me so far, right? So we have this umbrella category, this broad category of defeasible estates, right? Also called a fee simple defeasible. Okay. Yeah. If the estate terminates naturally upon death, we don't have a defeasible estate, we have a life estate. But if the estate terminates at some point other than death, we're dealing with a defeasible estate. All right. There are two types of defeasible estates we have. Right? Two types of defeasible estates for today, at least. Okay. The first type of defeasible estate is the fee simple determinable. Fee simple determinable. This is a present interest, and it's a present interest in as a defeasible estate. Notice begins with fee simple. So far, we've only had one type of fee simple, right? Fee simple absolute, you might call it. But now we're modifying it. It's a fee simple that may not last forever, right? It's a fee simple that may not last forever. Now, the word defeasible means it can be cut short, right? Defeasible means it can cut short. What does determinable mean? The word determine doesn't mean what you think it means, right? If I say, I need to determine the answer to some question, right? It means to figure something out or to make a decision. That's not what determine means in this context. In this context, determine means to cut short or to terminate, right? The phrase determine means to cut short or to terminate. So we have these two new words, defeasible and determinable. Defeasible and determinable. Both words basically have the same meaning. It means to cut short. Bear with me. So both defeasible and determinable mean to cut short. Now, let me tell you guys, students will confuse on the exam, no matter how much I warn you, a fee simple defeasible and a fee simple determinable. No matter how much warning I give you, you'll confuse them because look, I'm going to do it myself. They're easy to confuse. It happens. Try not to. Okay, fee simple defeasible is this sort of broad umbrella category. Fee simple determinable is a type of a fee simple defeasible. Let me try that one more time. Fee simple defeasible is this broad umbrella category. A fee simple determinable is a type of a fee simple defeasible. This is why you can't write, it's FSD. Because is FSD a fee simple defeasible or a fee simple determinable? I don't know. If you try and shorten your notes, you're gonna drive yourself insane. So just, I'm sorry, spell it out. Fee simple determinable. And again, determinable means cut short. All right, everyone with me so far? And I realize I'm lecturing more than I usually, but this topic I need to get stuff out and then we can answer some questions together. All right. The second topic, the second interest we're covering today, and this one's a mouthful. Fee simple, subject to condition subsequent. Fee simple, subject to a condition subsequent. Please do not write FSSCS because you're gonna drop an S, you're gonna drop a C, and you're gonna forget what the hell you're talking about. So just spell it out. I'm sorry. Your tables can be a little bit messy, but that's what you have to deal with. Fee simple, subject to a condition subsequent. So again, we have a fee simple, but it's not a fee simple absolute. All right, it's not a fee simple absolute. It's a different type of fee simple. It's a fee simple that can be cut short, right? Now, what is a condition subsequent? Well, first off, what's a condition? A condition is, think of it like a string you attach to something, right? Let's say I give you an allowance and I say, I'll give you $5 a week for allowance, but if you fail to clean the dishes, you don't get your allowance, right? We all know as kids how conditions work. You're not giving it to someone as a gift that's outright. It's a gift that you can maybe revoke. If you don't do the dishes, you don't take out the trash, we take away your allowance, right? But a condition subsequent is very special. So imagine parents handle it two ways. Parent number one says, okay, Josh, if you do the dishes, I'll give you $5, right? Every time you do the dishes, I'll give you $5. Okay, then parent number two says, all right, Josh, I'll just give you $5 on the assumption that you do the dishes, but if you end up not doing the dishes, I take the $5 back. You see the difference between the two, right? The first one is you put the condition up front. You do the dishes, I give you your money, right? In the second scenario, you put the condition on the back end, right? It's, I'll give you the money, but if I find out that you're not doing the dishes, I take the money away. The first parent, the more generous parent, perhaps, actually, I'm sorry, it's actually more stringent parent, right? The parent who makes you do the dishes first is a little bit stricter. The parent who makes you do the dishes first imposes what you call a condition precedent, right? A condition precedent, PRE, precedent means comes before, to precede, right? A condition precedent. The first parent gives what's called a condition precedent. You do the dishes, I pay you. Okay? So the condition comes before the payment. The second parent says, okay, I'll just give you the $5, but if I find out you're not doing the dishes, I will take the money back. Good luck with that, right, Mom? The second parent is what you might call a condition subsequent or subsequent, some people say. Subsequent means afterwards. Precedent means before. Subsequent means afterwards. When the condition comes afterwards, it's a condition subsequent. So a fee simple subject to condition subsequent means you're giving someone a fee simple, but if they later break some condition, they may lose it. Right? You give them the fee simple, but it's not absolute. If they perhaps break a condition later, at some point after they get it, they lose it. All right. How are we doing so far? Yeah, hold on. Go ahead, Derek. I see your hands up. Right. The analogy I use is you get your $5 in advance, but if your mom finds out that you never did the dishes, she takes the $5 back. Right. So again, parent number one says, if you do the dishes, I'll give you $5. Parent number two says, I'll give you the $5, but if I find out you didn't do the dishes, I'm taking my money back. You don't get to keep the money. Right. And both are perhaps effective methods of parenting, but you put the condition in different places. The first parent is condition precedent, and the second parent is condition subsequent. And we're going to do the estate today only asks about condition subsequent. We'll do another one, I think, on Wednesday of next week or Tuesday of next week. I can't remember. No, I guess it's next Tuesday. That's condition precedent. Oh, by the way, Steph, I see your hands up. I sent you a note about your Langdell sessions. I think one's on Sunday. That's going to be your midterm review. So I encourage you to go. The timing is not ideal, but because of the weather, things just got messed up, and we have to make do. The second Langdell session, I think it's the following Saturday. Natalie will go over your midterm with you. I'll talk a little bit more about the midterm on Friday, but you have a midterm week from today. I'll talk more about it on Friday. Today, I'm definitely not enough time, but I'll do it later. Steph, yes, go ahead. Please go ahead.
Does the condition have to be a negative condition, as in if you don't do something, or can it be if you do or don't do this thing?
It's a really good question. Usually, not always, it's negative. Don't do something, but it can also be positive. For example, use it for school purposes, right? This is our example in the Mahrenholz case. So it can go both ways. I don't want to give you an absolute answer because there's some types of conditions that may not be valid, right? We'll do in property 2 a topic called covenants, which is mentioned in reading today, where a covenant is how you restrict land use. And there are sometimes if you write a condition a certain way that says you must do something or you can't do something, it may actually become a covenant. So I'm going to slightly not answer your question, but the short answer saying is it's usually thou shalt not thou shalt, right? It's you have to do something. But Mahrenholz cases, you have to use it for school purposes. That's a positive commandment. Okay, make sense, Steph?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. All right. Okay, so again, we have these two types of a defeasible estate. You have the fee simple determinable, and we have the fee simple subject to a condition subsequent. Some people say subsequent. I don't care what you say. It doesn't matter to me, but just get the word right. All right. Simple enough, right? Not quite. All right. So now, how do you distinguish between a fee simple determinable and a fee simple subject to a condition subsequent? You look at the words chosen, right? There are very specific types of words that are associated with each of these estates. Unfortunately, my friends, you have to memorize these words. There's no shortcut, right? There's no rule of reason, right? You just have to memorize certain words. All right, so let's fill in our table a little bit more, and we'll hopefully bring some clarity to this topic. All right. All right, so let's go back to our chart. All right, let me do screen sharing again. Okay. All right, so we have our chart again. And we have these two rows, the fee simple determinable and the fee simple subject to condition subsequent. I'm going to give you first a broad category, and I'll explain what I mean by this. With the fee simple determinable, you're looking at words of duration. What is duration? Duration describes some period of time that's ongoing. All right. With the fee simple subject to condition subsequent, we're looking at conditional words. Words that describe conditions. Now, you may not know what those words are. Let's go one step at a time. What are durational words? While, during, until. Exactly, that's in a second, I promise. While, during, until, right? For example, you are in school during the day, but during the evening, you're at home. Or you might say, while I was a law student, I worked at the district attorney's office. Or I am going to be in South Texas until I graduate in 2021 or 2020, 2023, whenever you guys graduate, right? These are words that describe periods of time, duration. You may also see so long as, right? That's another one that you may see, so long as. Okay. What are conditional words? You might remember from middle school you had logic. I don't know if they even still teach that. Like if this, then that, right? Remember that? You see the words but if, provided, however, on the condition that. These sorts of words suggest there's a condition, right? If you do your dishes, you will get paid allowance. Provided you do the dishes, you get paid your allowance. On the condition you do your dishes, you get paid your allowance, right? These are words that suggest you have to satisfy a condition. Is there a hard, bright line rule between words of duration and words of condition? No. And in fact, people often confuse them. The case we have today, the Mahrenholz case, struggles with that exact question. Okay, Zach, go ahead. Your hand's been patiently waiting.
You answered the question, sir.
I knew I would. Which question was it?
I thought that the words you were putting down in the little square should be on the far right underneath words, but it became a little more clear now.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. So wouldn't it be easy if the words used to convey a fee simple determinable were words of duration, but they're not, unfortunately, always. They can be, but not always. All right, so now let's fill in this right column, which Zach was sort of hinting at. And let me just give you the example that we use in Mahrenholz, right? From ode to school, so long as Blackacre is used for school purposes. Okay, let's just look at that for a second. From O to school, so long as Blackacre is used for school purposes. So far, everything we've done has been either a life estate or a fee simple. Go look at the first three rows, right? 1 second, Tasha. But here we have this new conveyance. From O to school, so long as Blackacre is used for school purposes. Natasha, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask if you could share the screen.
Ah, you're right. I wasn't. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, here we go. Is that your question, Tyler? Carlo, what's your question?
So these are just indicators that we should be thinking fee simple determinable or fee simple subject to conditions subsequent. Not that it definitively is one or the other. Because if it's, from O to A, so long as O is alive, that's a life estate.
Correct.
So we should just be thinking.
You have to be careful. You have to be careful, right? This will become more clear next week, but you have to look very careful. What is the condition? I've asked this sort of question in the exam before. From O to A, so long as A is alive. Like, oh crap, we've got feasible determinable. It's actually a life estate, right? So the words "so long as" are not like a bright line rule, right? I was trying to tell you this is not 100%, but these are hints that put you in the right direction. Okay, make sense, Tyler? Okay, thank you. Very good question. Yeah, Zach, go ahead.
So the words gain their meaning from the context.
Yeah.
What I think I'm kind of in the same boat as Tyler on this one. What other pieces of context should we be looking for?
I'll get there later. The short answer is sometimes you need to look to the future interest to figure out what the present interest is.
Okay.
This is one that's going to just mess up your heads, right? There are some questions we're going to cover where you won't know what the present interest is until you figure out what the future interest is, which makes no sense. But just trust me on this one. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the table, please. And again, I know we're going really slow today. That's exactly as I intended to do. We might do Mahrenholz next class, which is fine. But I want to make sure I get through this stuff carefully today. Okay, so from O to school, so long as black acres used for school purposes, that's what we have. All right, let's just be very careful what's going on here. Let me call. I've not called anyone today. My goodness, we're almost an hour in. Who's next on the roll? Just raise your hand, please. Yeah. Oh, Ashley, I see you. There you are. Hello, Ashley. So let me ask you a question, please. In this hypothetical, what happens if black acre is used for school purposes forever? I mean, like till the end of time, right? The Armageddon's coming, right? The the four horsemen are here, right? We're ready to roll out. And then, okay, we got to shut down the school. Apocalypse is here, right? But let's say the land is used forever for school purposes. Who will own the land forever?
The school.
The school. And what if the school sells the plot to, a manufacturing company that builds a factory, and they build a factory?
So then if it's not used for school purposes, then it goes back to O, because O has a possibility of reverting.
Oh, you gave me such a good answer. I'm not there quite yet. You're right, but but they lose it, right? The school loses it. So even if the school transfers it, this condition remains, right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you, Ashley. Very good answer. All right. So these conditions are very, very strict, right? When you take a piece of property with a fee simple determinable on it, you're not just binding yourself. You're binding everyone who might ever want that property in the future. The resale value of one of these properties is going to be very low. Because why would anyone buy property from the school if they can't build on it, if they have to just use it for school purposes? So when you accept one of these gifts, or even if you pay for it, you're taking a risk. You're taking a risk that you will never violate the condition. Because if you do, you're going to lose it. It might happen in 100 years or 50 years or 30 years, but you're going to lose it eventually, right? Nobody knows what will happen in the future, right? None of us know what will happen in the futures. How will we know that this property will only be used for school purposes ever? What if there are no children in the area? What if you find a better school down the block, right? So it's risky accepting these sorts of estates. All right. Everyone with me? All right, let's go back to our table and fill out another box. All right. So we've done the fee simple determinable. The fee simple the fee simple subject to condition subsequent. See, I just did it. Trust me, you're going to do it. These are absolute mouthfuls. As I put food in my mouth. Right? Try this one. From O to school, comma. But if Blackacre is used for, let's just say residential purposes, O has a right to re-enter. You notice, again, it begins the same way. From O to school, comma. Right? From O to school, comma. Let's say put a period there, right? I just said from O to school, period. That'll be a fee simple. Right? I don't say school and the school's heirs. I don't say that, but I don't need to. If I just say from O to school, period, that conveys signals of a fee simple. But we don't have a period there. You have a comma. And again, pay very close attention to the punctuation. The punctuation matters a lot. Comma. But if. But if is one of these conditional words we discussed. And look where the condition is. It's after the conveyance of the fee simple, right? So first you convey the fee simple from O to school, comma, and then you put the condition. It's a condition subsequent. It's a condition afterwards. This is like mom saying, I'll give you $5, but if you do the dishes, I'll take the money back. Right? I'll give you the $5 now, but if you don't wash the dishes, I'll take the money back. So what they're saying is, we're giving you Blackacre, but if you use Blackacre for residential purposes, we can take it back. Okay, so if the condition comes after the fee simple, that's why we have a condition subsequent. Yes, Zach, go ahead.
Sorry about that, sir. So the difference isn't necessarily duration, but rather the power of the triggering event.
What do you mean?
In both cases, in the fee simple determinable, when the triggering event happens, the grantor has to take it back.
I'm not there yet. Not there. Not there. I'll get there. I'm deliberately not doing what the future interest is yet. I'm not doing it yet. I want you all to understand the present interest first, and I'll tell you what happens in the future. All right. See, the columns over here are so blank, the future interest columns. I've not done those yet. Okay. So again, the biggest difference between the fee simple determinable and the fee simple subject to condition subsequent is the nature of the condition. When it's a period of duration, so long as, you're probably going to have a fee simple determinable. When it's a condition that comes after the fee simple is conveyed, comma, but if, right? So the fee simple from O to school, comma, but if, that tells you a fee simple subject to condition subsequent. But not always, right? What if I wrote from O to school, right? Or make it easier, from O to A, but if A dies, O has the right to re-enter. Well, that's just a life estate, right? So just be careful that the condition is something that's not natural. It's some sort of, something happening. Okay? All right. Now, I want to fill in the future interest box, which I've deliberately not done. I yelled at Zach a minute ago saying you're jumping ahead of me. I got to do this one very incrementally, otherwise it will fall apart. By the way, this chapter in the book is one of the worst chapters in the book. I'm sorry, it sucks. It's a good book otherwise. It's the best book there is, and it still is awful. Just the way it describes things is, I read it every year. I'm like, why would they write this in such a confusing way? It's written for people who know this way too well, and it boggles me. So let's just go very slowly here. The fee simple subject to condition subsequent has a helpful hint, right? It tells you what the future interest is, and it will almost always tell you this. Not always, there might be some exceptions, but this is usually a good rule for you to have. When you have a fee simple subject to a condition subsequent, the future interest is known as the right of entry or re-entry, right? You'll see it both ways in different cases. You have to just know which one it is, the right of entry or right of re-entry. It's called both. I'm sorry, you just have to know both phrases. Okay? Please don't write ROE or RORE. Don't abbreviate. It's right of entry or right of re-entry. Either one, I don't care. I know what you mean. When you have a fee simple subject to a condition subsequent as a present interest, the future interest is known as a right of entry. Now, this one's helpful because it tells you right there. What happens if Blackacre is not used for school purposes? What it's used for residential purposes? Comma, O as a right of reentry, or O as a right to reenter, or O as a right to enter, right? It tells it to you right there, right? The fee simple subject to condition subsequent tells you what the future interest is. So that's a good hint. The other one, it doesn't. We'll get to the other one in a minute, right? Ashley told us what that was a few minutes ago, but she was just a little bit ahead of her time, okay? Matthew, go ahead.
I'm in the classroom.
Okay, yeah, give me a second. I have to unmute the classroom. There you go.
So what's the difference between reversion and right of reentry?
What's a reversion? What's reversion, Matthew? How do you define reversion?
I mean, it's basically it's as simple as O to afterlife, and this O to afterlife, then O has reversion.
What's the no, Matthew? What's the definition of reversion? I've given you 100 times. Just read it because you're trying to change my definition, which is why you're about to answer the question wrong.
Reversion is when you have a future interest after life estate.
After life estate. Is your life estate here?
No. Okay. Gotcha.
See, you nailed it exactly. Once you drop out, once you modify my definition, you lose it. It's a reversion to future interest after life estate. In this question, there's no life estate. There's a defeasible estate. You will, I shouldn't say never, but you will almost never have a reversion or remainder after a defeasible estate. It's possible, but you have to think very carefully if that's the right answer, right? Usually, almost always after a fee simple subject to condition subsequent, the future interest will be the right of entry. Again, there might be some really bizarre cases where there's a life estate afterwards, but I'd have to really think carefully about that before I put that as my answer on an exam. All right. Okay, so this is called the right of entry. Now, what does it mean to have a right of entry? It's not automatic. You have to do stuff, right? If they build a factory or they build an apartment complex on Blackacre, the school doesn't lose it automatically. O would have to go to court, right? O would have to go to court and say, hey, judge, I have this fee simple subject to condition subsequent, and they broke the condition. They built a factory or they built an apartment complex. It's not a school anymore. And the judge would say, yes, you're right. At that point, the judge would award title in Blackacre to fee simple and O. O would have fee simple. Yep. Tyler?
Just to be clear, they have to attempt to enter and then be prevented from entering first.
Okay. Enter doesn't literally mean, I was going to get this in a minute, but you're
Right.
Yeah.
But they have to have spoken to the holder. Then says, I'm not going to give it up.
I want to answer your question carefully. I don't know what you mean by spoken. You have to make a legal demand, and usually the way you make a legal demand is not by going to talk to a person. You sue them, right? You file a lawsuit seeking to quiet title on Blackacre. When you say quiet title, what you mean is you're asking the court to assess the right. So if you're asking me, can you just go to court and you could just go to the guy, knock on his door, and say, hey, you built a factory, it's mine. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Then you have a settlement, right? If that's what you have, you basically have some sort of settlement saying that, yes, we stipulate that we violated the condition.
I see.
Most people are not going to do that, right? Most people will say, you know what? You got me, right? Shucks, you're right. I'm going to give up my factory because I did the wrong thing. They're going to fight in court. They'll say the condition is not valid, that, that something happened. I suppose if you have a good Samaritan, right, who's like, you know what? You got me. It's yours. Then you have a settlement, and then there's no need
But
to
at
litigate.
that point, you're not even worrying about property law anyway.
No, yeah, I mean, that's just being a nice guy, but most people are not nice. Look, you can find a way to challenge just about anything in court, right? Or you reach a settlement. It's like, well, you know what? Yeah, I violated the condition, but let me give you some money to make you go away, right? Let me keep my factory. I'll give you $1 million. Okay, but I think it's going to be the very rare case where it's like, you know what? You got me. I got it. Yep, I forgot. This was on my deed. Okay. All right. Good question, Tyler. I like what you're thinking. I feel like I'm I keep pulling you back. Like, no, don't go there quite yet. Don't go there quite yet, because it gets ugly very quickly. All right. So in this example, O has a right of entry or re-entry. The key point is it's not automatic. Let me just put the screen sharing back on. It's not automatic. There has to be some legal action taken, whether that's a lawsuit or perhaps a settlement, right? Or something, right? Something has to be done to exercise that right of entry, right? It's called a right of entry. You have the right to do it. You don't have to, but you have the right to do it. All right. Everyone with me? Okay. The next estate that I want to cover is a fee simple determinable. All right. The future interest that matches the fee simple determinable is less obvious. Why is less obvious? Because you don't have to write it out. With a right of entry, you got to spell it out. Right? It's right there in black and white. But if you notice over here, we have a period. It just ends, right? It doesn't say what happens to Blackacre if the school is used for residential purposes. So you have to memorize this. And please just get this right. Future interest that follows a fee simple determinable is called a possibility of reverter. A possibility of reverter. Now, look at the row immediately above, right? You have reversion, afterlife estate, and the possibility of reverter after a fee simple determinable. I cannot tell you how many times people confuse this on the midterm. It happens every year. So I'm giving you a warning. I'm saying don't do it. Do not write possibility of reversion. Do not write possibility of reversion. Get that out of your head. Please do not write a reverter. There's no such thing. It's reversion following a life estate and possibility of reverter following a fee simple determinable. Okay? Don't say it reverts because you're going to just trip yourself up. These three terms, the reversion, remainder, and possibility of reverter, people just get them. I've seen possibility of remainder. That's not a thing, right? People mix it, like Mr. Potato. Okay, let's say Mr. Potato, I think it's been canceled, right? But you just mix and match. You mix everything around, right? Don't do that. Everything has to line up the way it is. Okay? So in this case, O has a possibility of reverter. And to be precise, it's in fee simple, right? Same, the one below it. It's going to be in fee simple. Okay. Now, the biggest difference between the possibility reverter and the right of entry is the fact that the possibility reverter is automatic. It's automatic. It kicks in automatically. As soon as the school is not used for school purposes, it's lost. It goes back to O. Right? O is not required to take any legal action to sue to claim it. Natasha, just 1 second. I'll get you in a second, I promise, right? It's considered automatic. Now, as a practical matter, the school is not going to give up easily. The school's going to say, well, I want to go to court first. But you consider the date on which they lost the property to be the date when the condition was violated. So it's a much easier form of litigation. It can be very quick. The other big difference, and this comes up, I won't do Mahrenholz today. I don't have time for it. Do Mahrenholz on Friday. But the other big difference is that you cannot convey at common law a possibility reverter. At common law, you cannot convey a right of entry. But here comes the big but. If the condition's violated, it's no longer a possibility reverter. You now have it in fee simple. And you can convey your interest in fee simple to someone else. So it matters greatly which one you have. Because with the possibility reverter, as soon as the condition is violated, you now are able to convey it to someone else. It's been liberated. Okay, Natasha, go ahead. I see your hands up.
So the possibility of reverter is O's future interest?
Yes. Yeah. O. Yeah, I'll put that in the chart. O has a possible reverter in fee simple.
But doesn't the school board have a future interest as well?
No. What interest, Natasha, does the school board have?
A fee simple determinable?
Is that a present interest or a future interest?
Our present interest.
It's a present interest. They have it now. They can lose in the future, right?
And is that executory interest?
No, we've not done executory yet. Don't think about that yet. The school does not have an executory interest, right? We're not there yet. Think of it this way. The school has it present. O might get it back in the future, right? Think of the bundle of sticks. The present interest, the present stick is the school, and the future stick is is O. O may never get it though, right? So far, we talked about reversions and remainders. There's a guarantee that O is going to get it because everyone dies eventually. But here, so long as the school does the right thing and keeps it for school purposes, it will never go back to O. So it's almost like a future interest that may never be worthwhile. In this case, it became worthwhile.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yes, Azrael, go ahead.
So why is it a possibility of a reverter if it's automatic?
Don't look at the words that carefully.
Okay.
I know what you're trying to do because you're a smart guy, and it kills me to say this, but don't take this literally, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's called a possibility of reverter because it may or may not happen, right? If the school is used, if the land is used for school purposes forever, you're never getting anything, right? You'll never get anything. So it's a possibility there's reversion, or maybe not. Right? It may go back, it may not go back. That's why it's called possibility. Now, what you're saying is, if it's automatic, why is there possibility? Don't take these words literally. Just consider it like pretend it's Latin, right? Possibility of revert. It's like a thing, and just don't take it for any more than it's worth. Make sense, Azrael? Yeah, but you're thinking on the right track, and I'm telling you, don't think that hard because you're going to hurt your brain because these things aren't designed to make perfect sense. It's just they're designed to torture law students, unfortunately. It's like a rite of passage, and I'm sorry. There's another way of saying it. You need to know this. these are not used very often. I recently had my will done, and I asked my lawyer, who's a smart guy, have you ever actually come across a fee simple determinable in your 30 years of practice? Like, no. He said he's never seen these. He sees life estates every now and then, but he's never actually seen one of these defeasible estates. I'm like, okay, thanks. But it's law and it's on the bar, I suppose, so you need to know it, and that's where we are. All right. Questions? All right. Yes, Nicole, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I have this right in my notes, that you cannot convey at common law a possibility of reverter or a right of entry, but if the condition is violated, you now are able to convey it to someone else.
But why? When the condition is violated, you still have a future interest? You still have a fee simple determinable? What do you have when the condition is violated? This is an important point. Well, think of it this way, right? O has the future interest, the possibly reverter. The school has the fee simple determinable. O has a future interest stick. The school has the present interest stick. What happens when the condition is violated?
It goes back to O,
And what does O have?
a fee simple.
And what can you do with the fee simple?
You can do whatever you
Whatever
want.
the hell you want with it. Exactly right. That's an important point. Let me just clarify Nicole's question. You can't convey inter vivos the possibly reverter or the right of reentry at common law. You can't. But if the condition's violated and you have a fee simple determinable, then it's yours. You own it in fee simple. You can convey it to someone else. It's very violent, the fee simple determinable, because you lose it right away. You might even know it. Tyler, go ahead.
So this applies to the right of entry as well, because it becomes a present interest.
Well, after litigation, you have to go to court first. But
Right.
if you go to court and the court agrees with you, at that point, O would have a fee simple.
Got it.
All right. I am just about out of time. So you guys, we spent the entire class on this stupid chart I told you. We'll do everything else in class on Friday. We'll continue it. But let me just summarize a bit. So 4 present interests. We're going to have more. We have the fee simple. We have the life estate. We have the fee simple determinable. And the fee simple subject to conditions subsequent. All right. You're going to need to just memorize how those are created. If you see N as heirs, it's a fee simple. If you see for life, it's a life estate. If you see a durational world, while, so long as, during, you have a fee simple determinable. If you have conditional words, but if, provided, however, after the fee simple, right? It's from O to school, comma, but if, right? If the condition comes after the fee simple, comes subsequent to the fee simple, you have a fee simple subject to condition subsequent. Once you know the present interest, you can figure out the future interest. If you have a life estate, you know the future interest is either remainder or reversion. What's the difference? With reversion, the life estate, after estate, the interest goes to the grantor. With a remainder, after the life estate, the interest goes to a third party. Okay. What if you have a fee simple determinable? The future interest is the possibly reversion. I did it. I did it. The possibly reverter. And that's an automatic. It cuts off right away. Now, the fee simple subject to condition subsequent. The future interest is the right of entry, which requires legal action. It's not automatic. Look, I just screwed it up. I'm not going to be mad if you do it, but just be very careful and just recognize if you make the mistakes. You're going to do it. You're going to say possibly reversion. You're going to say it. Just get ready for it. All right. Anything else? All right. The minute poll's running. Office hours at 2:45, and I'm sorry again for my technical glitch. It hasn't happened before, but something's up with my computer now. I'm going to have to reboot it altogether. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you guys later.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you, Zach. Bye-bye.